You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Bruner.
And I'm Ralph Hipp. Well, let's get started here at 10. Tonight is the night your August 2nd primary ballots have been counted. Still some to be counted tonight, and some races already clearly decided. Others, though, remain up in the air to see which candidates campaigning would still lead to a win.
We're going to lead you through the races, and we start with one of the closest ones at this hour. It's the state Senate 20th District Republican race. Vicki Schmidt and Joe Patton. Vicki Schmidt, the incumbent. Joe Patton, a former state representative, challenging. The same matchup happened 4 years ago. Vicki Schmidt victorious then, and tonight she continues to maintain a lead, 54 to 46% in the state Senate 20th District. There is a primary on the Democrat side.
There is, with these four, and Rick Cortez is just back from the Democratic convention. He was one of the delegates, but Candace Ayers has been leading this four-person field all night to face presumably Vicki Schmidt. This is the Democratic primary for District 20 with Dennis Rogers, Rick Munoz Cortez, and Clarence Hinchy. Ayers leading at this point with 45% of the vote. The campaign sparks memories of 4 years ago, and it's poised to have the same result.
It's looking like Vicki Schmidt in the lead, and 13's Tori Mason begins our team coverage. She is live at incumbent Senator Schmidt's watch party tonight. Tori?
Hi, Ralph, Melissa. I'm at the home of incumbent Senator Vicki Schmidt, and as you mentioned before, all of the totals are not in yet, but right now she is ahead by about 600 votes, but she has quite the fan base here, but this small margin is nothing new to the senator. In 2012, she narrowly beat her same opponent, Joe Patton, by just under 200 votes. Vicki, did you think the race would be this close again?
Oh, I don't care if it's close or not. As long as you win in the end, it doesn't really matter to me.
How's the atmosphere been this election season?
Ugly.
Could you elaborate?
Lots of negative flyers coming into the district, tons of flyers coming into the district by third-party groups who don't live, work, or do anything here, but attack candidates. So that's been, that isn't too much different than 2012, but more came into the district this year, and they were a lot uglier.
Thank you for being honest. I'll check back in with you later.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, Vicki, and good luck to all of the candidates out there tonight. Ralph, Melissa, whoever wins this primary will face off against the Democratic nominee in November, and by the votes right now, it's looking to be Candace Ayers.
Right.
But the night's not over yet. I'm going to keep following the results, and I'll keep you updated on WIBW.com and, of course, 13 News.
Indeed. Vicki Schmidt, one of the rare, if not one of the only candidates to advertise locally on television in her campaign. These Shawnee County primaries included sheriff and district attorney, and those were especially important, with candidates only registered on one side of the aisles in those races. So the winners tonight will more than likely take those offices, barring any large independent or write-in challenge coming up November 8th.
So let's take a look at the numbers. The DA's race featured 3 Republicans, Mike Kagay, Keen Umber, and Karen Whitman. The incumbent, Chad Taylor, deciding not to run, and tonight it looks like Mike Kagay is easily outpacing the field at this hour with 54% of the vote. And in the sheriff's race, incumbent Herman Jones looks to be on his way to re-election, beating back a challenge from retired Topeka Police Major Jerry Stanley.
Sheriff Jones had touted a drop in crime in his campaign. Jerry Stanley said that there was a leadership issue, and we'll see which way that's going. So far, it's been going Sheriff Jones' way all night in this race.
And Sheriff Jones is celebrating with family and friends at his home. 13's Carrie Larson continuing our team coverage from the Jones watch party this evening. Carrie?
Hi, Melissa and Ralph. I'm here at Herman Jones' home where we have a lot of supporters behind me here. It's a good crowd tonight, and I'm here with Sheriff Jones. Hello, thanks for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to see you here in the household, particularly with all these supporters and all the supporters out there as well for a night like this. It's been a great challenge, been a great campaign, but I can't do it by myself. We've got a lot of great people right here that are dedicated for what we want to do for this community and keep it safe and move on even further.
Absolutely. When you were doing your campaign and people were coming up to you, what were some of the things that they want to see in the next 4 years?
You know, one of the things that they were saying is what's broken. So one is they were confused why we had that much of a contention of a campaign. But what I wanted to do was take and make this community much safer. It's going to take more people, and we know that. It's going to take a lot of cooperation and communication, but it's all about the people here and dedication and being involved in the community.
Absolutely. I want to ask your wife one more question. We have Carlene here and baby Kai. Baby Kai here. How are you feeling tonight? How happy are you?
I'm very proud of my husband and the campaign that he ran that kept very positive.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, thank you all for being here. And thank you, Sheriff Jones. Best of luck to you. Back to you, Melissa and Ralph.
Thank you, Carrie. Sheriff Herman Jones had taken the unexpired term of Sheriff Dick Barta when Barta ran for the legislature, and so this will be his, if he wins the next term, his second full term elected in his own right. If he can win in November, he'll be the only name on the ballot for
Correct.
November,
Again, is barring any
sheriff.
challenge from an independent or a write-in. And the same story with the district attorney's race, and it has been a tough race with 3 people vying for that position, with the incumbent DA Chad Taylor stepping away. Again, taking a look at what the sheriff's numbers are shaping up to right now. 2/3 of the vote for Herman Jones. But again, reminding you of the numbers, 54% of the vote looking like someone will be stepping up the ranks to replace Chad Taylor, and that being Assistant DA Mike Kege, who's leading the pack.
And he really is leading by a wide margin. 13's Reagan Porter continuing our team coverage as we look at the DA race, and she's at the Mike Kege watch party. Reagan, take it.
Melissa, Ralph, current Assistant Shawnee County District Attorney Mike Kege is currently in the lead, and he's vying after that Shawnee County District Attorney position. Now, as we head over and look around the room, the crowd is cheering. Lots of smiles. They're super excited that they're also celebrating the lead and not only celebrating life. Now, as we turn now to the man in the lead, Mike Kege, and his wife, Hannah. Kege, what are you thinking in this moment?
I'm just very proud of the work that we put in. I think we've run a really good campaign. We've worked very hard. Everyone here was a part of that, and I appreciate them. Most especially my lovely wife, Hannah, who's right here with me. I'm very proud of the work we've put in, and I think we're seeing it pay off tonight.
And what are some of the reasons that you think you are in the lead right now?
Well, it's my team. You know, it's my wife, Hannah, and the people that are here. And I think we've run a very clean campaign. It's been a very positive message, and people have responded to that.
And you are currently in office right now as the Assistant Shawnee County District Attorney. So if you step into that official role, what will some changes you might make be?
Well, we've talked about throughout the life of the campaign, we've talked about some of the areas that we want to prioritize. Increased focus on crimes against children. Sex trafficking is a big problem in the community right now. Meth trafficking, and obviously the gang violence.
And since no Democrat is on the November ballot, if you keep the lead and you might win, we will see that might make you the next Shawnee County District Attorney. And Ralph and Melissa, we will continue to keep you updated at the bottom of the screen and also on WIBW.com.
All right. His supporters. Keen Umber, one of the challengers, said that the conviction and acquittal rate was really 50-50 under Chad Taylor. He said there was not the conviction rate Shawnee County needed, but a real referendum. Mike Kege, the assistant, he's winning and winning big.
He is tonight. We have a couple other Shawnee County races that we want to take a look at right now. These are for the commission districts, both incumbent commissioners facing challenges in the primary. So we start with District 2 in the Shawnee County Commission. This is a Democratic primary between the incumbent Kevin Cook and former Shawnee County Emergency Management Director Dave Sturbins, and Kevin Cook, the incumbent, holding on. He has 70% of the vote in this primary. No Republicans registered in this race. So again, it looks like Kevin Cook may easily hold on to his seat come November.
Right. Now let's go to District 3. This is the Bob Archer race. Bob Archer, the former city councilman, who said, "I'd rather work with 3 than work with 9. He's been very successful on the county commission. There's no Democrat who's filed on the other side in this race. So Bob Archer has been leading Richard Barngrover, and that's by a 3-to-1 margin, 76 to 24%. And it appears another term on the way for Bob Archer. In the heated District 1 Republican race, let's check in on it. And Melissa, are we hearing from our sister station? Are we going with anything official? Have they called this race yet?
KWCH-TV is now declaring Roger Marshall the winner in this race. The big 1st congressional district covers about the western 2/3 of the state, stretching into the Manhattan area, even into Wabunsee, Potawatomi. That line is where that ends. The incumbent Congressman Tim Huelskamp appears to be going down to defeat to Roger Marshall, a doctor from Great Bend. 58% of the vote right now. for Roger Marshall. Still have some precincts coming in tonight.
Sure we do. And let's check some other congressional races. We'll go to District 3, the Republican race. If we advance to the next set of numbers in the Kevin Yoder race, we'll begin on the Democratic side to face what appears to be a Kevin Yoder matchup. And Jay Seide, he had trailed Nathaniel McLaughlin for a while earlier in the night, has pulled ahead of McLaughlin, 12,000 to 9,000 and 7,000 for Reggie Marcellus. This is the Democratic primary there in the Wyandotte and Kansas City, Kansas area for District 3. And let's check on the Republican side with Kevin Yoder leading by 16,000 votes over his challenger Greg Good. The incumbents, as you know, generally have a lot of advantages in getting another term in Congress, except for Tim Huelskamp at this point. But Kevin Yoder leading 64 to 36% over his Republican challenger. District 4, Melissa, that's the Wichita area. Here's the Democratic side of that race.
Yes, Daniel Giroux and Robert Tillman. Daniel Giroux, this is a close one. 53% of the vote for Giroux over Tillman tonight. They would face the incumbent in that race, which is Mike Pompeo, who did not have a primary. The second congressional district where Lynn Jenkins is the incumbent there. She also did not have a primary, but she will face Democrat Brittany Potter on the November ballot. Checking the U.S. Senate race, an easy race for Republican incumbent Jerry Moran tonight, a wide margin of victory over his challenger DJ Smith. There is a Democratic primary here, so Moran will face on the November ballot Patrick Wisner, he defeating Monique Singh tonight.
Once again, Dr. Roger Marshall's been holding a watch party at a neighbor's house. He is the obstetrician from Great Bend, and we'll be checking if we get any watch party activity over there.
Reporter Devin Fishbinder of KWCH is at the Roger Marshall watch party.
The excitement is really growing here at Dr. Roger Marshall's campaign watch party. I spoke with Marshall earlier. He says he's not nervous. He's excited. He's happy to be here in Great Bend, his hometown, with his family, his friends, and those who know him best. When I spoke with him earlier, he says he wished he had a little more of a positive campaign, but he said it was hard not to make things negative when his challenger was saying negative things about him. He says at this point he's excited to be with the people he loves. He's excited to wait and see exactly what happens for his future, but he's hoping that the race goes his way.
But I'm so excited. I feel like I ran a marathon for the past 15 months, and it's like the Olympics, and now the judges are the people that are voted today. So I'm waiting for the judges to see what they say. We've done our best. We've made our case, and we're just excited to be here tonight, celebrating with friends.
Marshall told me earlier, win or lose, he wants Kansans to know he's a family man, he's a good man, and he ran in this race for the right reasons.
Devin Fastbinder of our affiliate KWCH in Wichita. Meantime, over at the Tim Huelskamp watch party this evening, all media was asked to leave the gathering in Wichita. Campaign volunteer Stephen Howe told members of the media this was a private party and campaign staff would let reporters know when the congressman will be available. Our sister station KWCH in Wichita saying the Huelskamp campaign actually threatened to call police if reporters did not leave that watch party. They're monitoring that situation, though. They remain outside of those doors, and we'll hopefully get some reaction from Congressman Huelskamp as the night goes on.
Our partnership with KWCH, we're now a sister station with them. They've been an enormous help in covering this race, and it's one of the marquee matchups really in the nation, the Huelskamp-Marshall race there in District 1. Well, let's check some other House races, Kansas House races around Northeast Kansas, and we'll go to Kansas House Democratic race, and this is District 50, Chris Huntsman and Ross Hutchinson, and here is that total, fairly close at this point. This is with 16 of the 25 precincts reporting. And we'll go to Kansas House Republican race, District 52. Former USD 437 Superintendent Brenda Dietrich, after retiring, trying her hand at politics and leading Mark Leenertz 2404 to 1467 at this point.
This race is one example of what people have been watching statewide when it comes to the Kansas legislature. Brenda Dietrich, a moderate Republican candidate. This seat, the incumbent Dick Jones, who was considered a conservative, did not seek re-election. So this seat potentially, with no Democrats filing, could go the moderate direction. And a couple headlines statewide, if you're watching some of the races, several conservative incumbents were defeated tonight, including in Johnson County. Senator Greg Smith has been defeated in his primary. And the Senate Majority Leader, Terry Bruce from the Hutchinson area, he has just conceded his race. So potentially some changes in the state legislature to make it more moderate versus conservative, and this race one example of that.
One other thing, Melissa, we're seeing with the debate over school funding, Do you want former school administrators going into the legislature? I thought the Brenda Dietrich race was an interesting race to get former people who know how to operate school districts into the legislative process if they win, if they take those seats, and see how they do on the school funding issues. So she is leading that race in District 52. Now to the Republicans in District 56. This is Lane Hemsley against Larry Guile, and Lane Hemsley defeating Virgil Weigel 2 years ago to take this seat. Lane Hemsley would face Virgil Weigel again. He's the Democratic challenger, so there'd be a rematch of that race from 2014. Lane Hemsley would be seeking his second term in the House, and he's leading his Republican challenger tonight. Vic Miller in the Ben Scott race. Melissa, that's been a big story here locally as well.
Correct. Ben Scott was appointed last December to complete the term of Annie Teets, who had decided to retire and leave the legislature early before her term was up. Ben Scott was appointed to that term. Vic Miller, who was a former city council person, a Shawnee County commissioner, and most recently Topeka Municipal Court administrative judge. He had retired from that position and decided to jump into politics and convincingly taking this primary in the 58th Kansas House District. There are no Republicans running in this seat, so Vic Miller may add state legislator to his resume.
He may indeed. So that's the District 58 Democratic side of the race. We move back to the Republicans now in District 60, the Steve Pearson, Mark Schreiber, Matthew Shepard race, and Mark Schreiber leading over Steve Pearson, but not by very much. And Republicans, we move now to District 61. Francis Auerkamp and Dan Brenner, and that's a fairly close race there in District 61 as well. We go to the District 64 race, Kathy Martin, Susie Swanson. We've already called Susie Swanson. The AP has declared her the winner in that race on the Republican side, with all 34 of the precincts in that part of the state reporting in.
I think before we check more results, we want to take a little break right now because Roger Marshall is now giving his victory speech in that big 1st congressional district race. We want to go to Roger Marshall, or are we going to wait just a moment?
We'll see if he's prepared to make a victory speech and if there's any concession or what's happening with the watch party for Tim Huelskamp.
Okay, here we go. Roger Marshall giving his acceptance victory speech.
What is the first thing you're going to do when you get to Washington?
I'm going to ask Speaker Ryan if I can get on the House Ag Committee.
Why is that so important?
I mean, 70% of the economy in the Big First is driven by agriculture. We have more cattle than people. We have the biggest sorghum district in the country. We have the largest growing cattle herd, dairy herd in the country. We're the breadbasket of the world, for crying out loud. We need a voice on the Ag Committee.
Amen. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Does this mean it's official?
It is official.
Well, thank you so much.
Congratulations. Back to you guys in the studio.
Roger Marshall with Devin Fassbinder of our affiliate KWCH in Wichita, and he mentioned the House Agriculture Committee. That was his main talking point throughout the campaign versus Congressman Tim Huelskamp. Tim Huelskamp had lost his seat on the Agriculture Committee, and Dr. Marshall hammered that point throughout this campaign and now looks to be advancing to Congress. There is no Democrat filed in the Big First Congressional District. However, Allen Law Police says he does have the signatures to get on the ballot as an independent in November, and Allen Law Police did launch an aggressive campaign a couple of years ago. So we'll see how that unfolds, if he is going to be just as aggressive versus Dr. Roger Marshall as he was in the past against Congressman Tim Huelskamp. But again, here are the numbers that have our affiliate KWCH declaring Roger Marshall the winner. 58% of the vote to the incumbent Tim Huelskamp's 42%. Certainly the big headline of this evening from the Kansas primary elections. We want to go back to some of those House races, I believe, in the Kansas State House now.
Pick up where we left off.
Pick up where we left off. We're going to go back to the 68th district, I imagine here. This is a Republican primary, three-way race here in House District 68. The winner will face Democrat Laura Blevins, the incumbent Tom Moxley not running. So between these three Republicans, Nicholas Albritton right now seems to be outdistancing the competition. 53% to 44 for Dave Baker and 3% to Vance Donahue, who, by the way, did tell me earlier this week that he has had some job changes, so really hasn't been campaigning. Mr. Donahue kind of expecting this result, content to let the other two candidates campaign more heavily in the 68th district.
Well, that's crucial. That's Junction City and Council Grove, and that's the way that one is shaking out, so that one will go for a little while longer. We go now to District 106, or 76, we will do that. This is the Olpe and Reading area. On the Democratic side, Teresa Briggs and Kelly Atherton, and they're fairly close, just just about less than 50 votes separate the two of them.
The winner will face Republican Eric Smith. The incumbent in this district, Peggy Smith, decided not to seek re-election, so that will be another change over in the Kansas House. House District 106, the last one we want to kind of talk about a little bit tonight. This is a Democratic primary between Todd Fry and Beth Owens. The incumbent here, Sharon Schwartz, is not seeking re-election. It is looking like Todd Fry will advance to the November ballot. What's interesting about the opponent that Mr. Fry will face in November, it is Republican Clay Arnn. Now, Arnn had previously served in the legislature from 1995 to 2013, had been the majority leader of the Kansas House. There was redistricting several years ago, so Schwartz actually had defeated Clay Arnn in the primary, and now that she has decided not to return to the legislature, Clay Arnn will be vying to get a seat back versus Todd Fry, the winning Democrat in this primary tonight.
So the Republican challenger awaits them. Well, Senator Jerry Moran, who easily won his primary race tonight over D.J. Smith, who was visiting the Sunflower Memory Center here in Topeka at the Comrie O'Neill VA Medical Center. And Moran toured the center and he talked with medical staffers. He was talking over his thoughts on the primary and winning the primary and facing Patrick Wisner in the general election. By the way, that is November 8th, folks, so mark that down on your calendars. Well, we were there and asked him what his thoughts were on the general presidential election.
Campaign will determine who Americans decide they want to be their leaders. And I've indicated that I have great concern that if Senator Clinton is elected, Secretary Clinton is elected, it's continuation of the policies that we've had with President Obama, and another 4, 6, 8 years of that is a challenge. But I would just tell Kansans and Americans this is their choice.
You will note there that Jerry Moran not disclosing whether he would vote for the Republican nominee Donald Trump.
One other interesting note, Melissa, they had asked Jerry Moran, are you endorsing Roger Marshall or Tim Huelskamp? He declined to endorse either one of them. He said, I will let the voters of the Big First decide for themselves. And at this point, it's looking like Dr. Marshall.
We are going to take a break from election numbers and take a look at a different kind of number, the temperatures. And Jeremy Goodwin is keeping an eye on some rather large numbers on that front.
Hi, Ralph, Melissa. Tomorrow looks to be a hot day. High temperatures in the upper 90s. Heat index around 105, maybe even 108. Let's check out the Sharp Honda sneeze alert. Plantain, chenopod, and grass all in the high category. Tonight, it's been climbing the last couple of days, and today, no exception. Our Capitol Federal live storm tracker, dry conditions across northeast Kansas for now, but we are likely to have at least a few isolated thunder showers developing late tonight and early tomorrow in our area. Then tomorrow afternoon, the temperature starts to really climb again. Here's what we have outside now. Capitol Federal live sky cam from Quinton Heights Hill, looking toward the Kansas Expo Center. Skies are partly cloudy, no rain falling right now in northeast Kansas. Our view from downtown from the top of the Jayhawk Tower, the Parish Hotel's Ramada Hotel and Convention Center camera. This is looking off to the northwest, and it is calm, warm, and muggy across northeast Kansas right now. After 10 o'clock at night, still 82 in Topeka, 79 in Manhattan, and the heat index with the extremely high humidity in place still making it feel like 90 in the capital city. We are still officially in summer, and it certainly feels like it out there. Again, this late in the evening to see the heat index in Emporia still 89 degrees, fairly impressive. Wide look at the satellite and radar. We're mostly clear here, seeing a few thunder showers in eastern parts of Colorado, western Nebraska, South Dakota seeing some thunderstorms as well. But we're dry so far, but Supercast does pick up a few scattered rain showers late tonight, mainly after midnight. Not widespread and not everybody getting the rain, but there's 6 a.m. and this is the leading edge of that warmer air really starting to fight its way back into Nebraska. Today we saw highs in the lower 90s for many spots. Tomorrow we'll be in the upper 90s with that warmer air pushing all the way back across eastern Kansas, leaving us the light south wind, humidity very similar to what we had today, and the heat index likely making 105 to maybe even 108 at times. Today we had cloud coverage sticking around much of the middle of the afternoon, kept the temperature down a little bit. Tomorrow I don't think we'll have that nice cloud coverage to keep it down. It should get very hot. So 96 in Topeka tomorrow, about 101 in Salina, Manhattan 97, heat index easily above the century mark tomorrow in the afternoon with the heat index and the humidity very, very high. The People's Insurance Group Road Risk Index will go with yellow car for tonight and tomorrow morning. The possibility of some thunder showers, should be isolated, but some wet roads are possible, so just watch out for that. But no chance of any severe weather expected in the area. Tonight, 75. isolated rain chances possible late tonight. Tomorrow, 96, heat index above 100. And the 8-day forecast, we stay hot with chances of scattered rain showers almost every day through Sunday. Tomorrow's rain chances mainly in the morning. Thursday and Friday could be afternoon storms. And then the coldest temperature we have for a high is 89 next Wednesday. So summer is still in control.
A couple of really hot days on the way, Jeremy. Hope it didn't affect the voter turnout too much with it being so hot today.
I don't think it did.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we're declaring another winner, the Royals. The Kansas City Royals, they won tonight over the Tampa Bay Rays down in Florida. A bit later on 13 Sports, and we'll see how they got the win as they get ready for a morning game in Tampa Bay tomorrow.
We're also going to be back with some of the election results from our surrounding counties next.
You're watching 13 News at 10 with Melissa Bruner and Ralph Hipp. 13 News, Kansas News Leader. You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
Before we get to some of the surrounding county results, I do want to go back and make a correction, and my apologies for this. Ben Scott
we had to go back in the history books.
We took a look here, and I apologize for this. Ben Scott was appointed to replace Harold Lane when Harold Lane retired. Annie Teets left the legislature just earlier this year. Jim Gartner was named to replace her in the 53rd District. Jim Gartner, the Democrat, and he is seeking that seat. He is seeking a full term. He will face Republican Richard Kress on the November ballot. So my apologies for that little mix-up in the House districts in the Topeka area.
You'd mentioned, Melissa, Jim Gartner was really sworn in pretty much for the special session.
Right before the special session, he took his seat.
Recently. So we've got the names, and there will be some changes. We'll see possible changes in those names into the legislature. Well, let's check some of the sheriff races around our area. We begin with the Pottawatomie County Sheriff on the Republican side. Sheriff Greg Riot, 34-35 to 940 for his challenger Dan Koslow. So Sheriff Riot, he wins on that side of the race. We go to the Jefferson County side, and of course, this is for Wabaunsee County. Rob Hoskins, Carla Swartz, and Sam Hamilton. And the vote's fairly evenly divided, but it's already been called in favor of Rob Hoskins on the Republican side.
There's also a primary election in Jefferson County. The incumbent Sheriff Jeff Herrig being challenged by Bronson Campbell. Jeff Herrig, the incumbent, with 87% of the vote to advance in the Jefferson County Republican primary for sheriff. And taking a look also in Jefferson County, the county attorney for Jefferson County, Josh Nye, winning over Jason Balville in the Jefferson County attorney's race. 65% of the votes for Mr. Nye. Okay. Also in Jefferson County on their ballot, they had a question, a sales tax question. This is a 1% tax for their pool in Valley Falls. That question going for the yes vote. 71% yes, 29% no in Jefferson County. That is all in. Now we're going to check some more sheriff's races, and Sheriff John Merchant, he wins on the Republican side, and that's 1,004 to 767 for Dan Stephen Morgan. Sheriff Merchant, 57 to 43% win. And we had another pool tax issue on the Brown County ballot for Horton. Pretty much the same question as they had for Valley Falls with the 3 precincts there. And Melissa, they voted yes on that tax, 184 to 142. That has passed, the 1% sales tax increase for Horton for the swimming pool facility. Cloud County Sheriff on the Republican side, Brian Marks, Sheriff Brian Marks wins on that side, 926 to over Brent Gehring and Greg Lagasse. 926 votes for Sheriff Marks in that race. And one more sheriff's race we want to check for you in Osage County. Incumbent Sheriff Lori Dunn challenged in the Republican primary by Marty Kane. Sheriff Dunn will advance to the November ballot with 72% of the vote in Osage County. We do have a lot of other results from our outlying counties for you. You can find them at wibw.com/elections. We will also be running them on the bottom of your screen through the evening. I know there are some county commission races in some of our area counties, and those are on wibw.com for you tonight. Even after the newscast, we're going to add in about 30 more races after the news, and you can see all the ones, the major races from our area. Coming up, as we shift gears to sports, how the Emporia State Hornets and Washburn Ichabod's quarterback situation is looking as they're heading into the fall football season. Also, the Kansas City Royals trying to make it 2 in a row. We'll find out if they could do it next.
13 Sports with Chris Lilly.
Hello everyone, the Kansas City Royals trying to ride the momentum of Danny Duffy's monster 16 strikeout game, looking for back-to-back wins against Tampa Bay. It'd be the first time since June. And in the first inning, Lorenzo Cain rips a 2-out single into left field. That's Cain's first hit since coming off the DL. Would be nice to get him going. Next up, Eric Hosmer. He hits into right field, and Lorenzo Cain will score from second base, and the Royals with the 1-0 first inning lead. By the 7th inning, though, the Royals were down 1. Well, until Salvador Perez hits a skyscraper of a home run to left field. That scores 2, and the Royals take the lead. And a cool story in the bottom of the 7th, here's Matt Strahm making his second career MLB appearance. He hits 2 strikeouts in front of his family there to cheer him on. And the Royals, they beat the Rays 3-2. We are less than a month away from Emporia State and Washburn kicking off the MIAA football season. The Ichabods have experience at the quarterback position with Derek McGinnis entering his second season in Topeka. And the Emporia State Hornets have some clarity after quarterback Ty Reisner left the program.
I mean, he's a coach's son. He very, very good to coach. He's a leader on the field and off the field. And one of the things that he really brought to the table, even when he first stepped on campus, is the amount of work you have to do outside of practice. Everyone practices hard, but it's the work you do in the off season.
I definitely hate, losing depth at that position, of course, but moving forward, I definitely don't feel the one good thing about going into camp right now is that we know who our starter is. And instead of going into camp having where, you're going to make sure all the reps are even and it's split and trying to make a decision on who's going to be the starter, well, we know who that guy is now.
Football season is almost here. That's it for sports. Ralph and Melissa, back to you.
So I would say that's it for sports. We'll have more time to chat tomorrow.
Baseball season, football season, and election season.
Indeed.
We're going to recap all the numbers for you next.